Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Pretty sure you have to be to even join their department. So there have been more details that came out about the execution of the airport executive that was raided by the ATF because he was simply a collector of firearms. And we're talking about this again because the details are so shocking. It could literally happen to any of us. So I'm gonna do a quick recap just in case you haven't heard of this yet. Brian Malinowski was a collector of firearms. He was also an airport executive that made a ton of money. He's the highest paid employee in the city that he lived in. The ATF thought that he was buying firearms and then reselling them to people, which under the law there is not illegal. You can do private firearm transactions there, and there is no detail as far as how many you can do and how many you can't. But if for some reason the ATF thought, well, oh, it's too many, or this dude's trying to do it for profit, why would a dude who makes a ton of money at a solid day job be like, yes, I need to buy 4 firearms this week and then sell them for a $200 profit each? That doesn't make sense. That is an enormous risk for an intelligent human who earns a solid income at an airport. Did the ATF not think of this? Or were they just like, oh my God, there's a weapon involved and there was a sale involved and it was a private transaction, even though that's legal here, so we gotta raid him. You guys are just the most tyrannical joke there has ever been.
On the raid on March 19th at Mr. Malinowski's house, disabled the doorbell camera, cut electricity to the house, and you didn't wear body cameras. What were you guys trying to hide?
Mr. Chairman, we're not trying to hide things. In fact,
Sure seems like it.
You
guys cut electricity to the house?
That's
a question.
Now, if you're breaking into my house in the middle of the night or in the early morning, my first objective is not to turn the lights on because I'm not giving my position away to you. So cut my power, do whatever you want. I think that was a failed errand on the ATF's part, but they said that they knocked on the door and then 50-something seconds later, he was dead. It's murder.
So you're not going to
The
comment.
Department of Justice has already told us you guys weren't wearing cameras. I'm just asking why.
For the cameras, our body-worn camera policy, I can talk about that. I think I can answer the question without talking about this case.
You can talk about some things relative to the investigation, but not others. We want all the answers to what's going on here.
So let me get this right. You were required to wear body cam. And all of y'all forgot. When you were getting ready, you were like, oh, we forgot. It's a requirement of your job. For all of y'all out there watching, if you have a requirement for your job, wherever you work, and you just forget a major part of it, what is your boss doing? Hey man, look, you've been doing a good job, but this was a major requirement of your job, and you've been told this several times, so I gotta let you go. I gotta find someone who can do it correctly. Every single one of these ATF agents should be charged. Every single one. Everyone who was there. Everyone who had a part in this raid. This puts every single American who owns guns at risk of this. The dude didn't even know he was being investigated. Where is due process? You're telling me that these dudes were following this guy around like a crazy ex-girlfriend, put a tracker on his car, got a warrant for a no-knock raid, raided him, and then murdered him, and the whole time this dude had no clue. You couldn't have called him. You couldn't have done one of your door knock deals that you've done to so many other people and say, hey, you're being investigated for this. We would like to have a look at your collection, or we would like you to come to a deposition about this. You couldn't have done that?
If you're out there, would you please stand? I'd like to recognize you, Ms. Malinowski. Her first name is Mayor, Director. Would you like to stand up and look at her and apologize?
I've already said, of course, whenever these things happen, it's a tragedy. Of course we're sorry. Everybody is sorry that this occurred.
Yeah, look at her, don't look at me.
Y'all just went for, all right, guys, let's have another Waco or Ruby Ridge. So what now? Are you just going to do this to whoever you want? You see somebody on the internet post a video, maybe of a attachment on a gun, or maybe you see they've got several different firearms, and then you start investigating them, and then you do a no-knock raid. You know, I love how the news outlets reported this, that there was a shootout. Imagine being a person who's sleeping, okay? It's early morning, your power gets cut off, your doorbell gets a piece of tape put over it, then you hear your door being broken in. What are you doing? probably grabbing a gun, right? I would. So if it's a police department and you walk downstairs with a gun, what do you think they're doing to you? They're shooting you.
Director, you got to admit, this is a little unique. You got a citizen, the highest paid official in the municipal government, Little Rock, Arkansas, making $260,000 a year, running the airport. No criminal background history, no nothing, and he's dead at a pre-dawn raid when it sure looks like you could have served this search warrant when he wasn't there, but you decided not to. You decided to wait till he was home when you did it on March 19th. And as a result, Mr. Malinowski is no longer with us.
So my interpretation of this whole thing is that the ATF wanted to shoot out. They wanted to murder this man. What other conclusion can be brought up? If you wanted to talk to the guy and actually have some justice involved, you would have just came to his house during the day, knocked on his door and said, hey, look, we're looking into this. You may be prosecuted. That would be a way to handle this. Not the correct way. He didn't do anything wrong. But it would be a way to handle this. But no, instead, you wanted to shoot out. What? Your PS5 break and you couldn't play Call of Duty that night? You had to go do a no-knock raid and get some action in real life? So I'm going to give some recommendations here because after watching this, we are all at risk. If the government knows that you have firearms, you're at risk of this. Number one, I would do regular checks on your vehicle for a tracking device. Number two, as we've learned in this situation, if you've got a doorbell that's a camera, those can be easily manipulated as seen in the video here. They can just put a sticker over it and then you can't see anything. Keep it, but get a different camera and put it out of reach. Put it somewhere to where they can't just put a sticker on it. They have to legitimately do a lot of work to cover it up. Now, if all of that fails and you're not able to see who is coming into your house, you're kind of screwed. Because I know for me, if I'm being broken into and I don't hear law enforcement, police, ATF, I'm grabbing a gun. And who knows, maybe criminals are gonna start doing this. If I was a criminal, I would do something like this. I would break your door down and say, ATF! Whatever happened to due process? Whatever happened to the path of least resistance? We just forgot about it on this one. These ATF agents, whoever was involved, they need to answer for what they did. And I believe Brian Malinowski's family deserves a ginormous payout. This is unacceptable.